And so, it begins. Dark were the skies and chill was the wind as the land was covered in a veil of malice. Across the hill did ride a dread army of the night, cloaked in mist and fog, prepared to rain down death and destruction upon the land. And the people did crowd for a savior, a noble soul to save them from their impending demise. Just as it seemed all was lost, in strode a mighty hero, clad in shimmering metal from head to toe. Wielding a terrible broadsword, he did cleave his foes in two, smashing their ranks asunder with righteous fury. And when the day was done and the enemy strewn across the fields in pieces, the people did turn to the warrior and say, "We shall name this day in your honor. Speak unto us your wisdom." The warrior said one word that day: epic.
One man, one murloc, one giant angry badger. This is Blue Please. It begins now. Yes, indeed, folks. Well, if it works for Chris Metzen, can I try it? Let me just try this for a second. So, I need to do a little bit of brainwashing to make sure you forget the last few minutes. So, let's try this one for a second. Okay, so we'll stop the music just to make sure you can hear it. So, Geek is screwing up your sound check because you are watching a really, really underwhelming opening presentation for Blizzcon. Yeah. Oh, man. What a waste of time. Good lord. Talk about underwhelming. Most underwhelming, possibly? Yeah, I think so, actually. I'm trying to go back through it and seeing if I can remember anything more underwhelming than that. So, BlizzCon 2005 was awesome. It's like Burning Crusade, oh my god. And then what do we get? There was no BlizzCon 2006. BlizzCon 2007 was... I assume that was Wrath. Maybe. Something about Wrath, I think. Wrath Cinematic, maybe. I'm trying to remember. What was 2008? Cataclysm. And then we get, what, was it 2009 it was Cataclysm? Whatever the case, I know one of them was a Diablo 3 class, wasn't it? Was it 2008 or 2009? Oh, I can't remember. Well, whatever the case. I'm sorry. /care. I realise that there are fanboys listening to this stream that are going to literally swallow anything that Blizzard gives them, but I'm sorry, since, you know, one, I'm not 12 years old, two, I've been playing Blizzard games for way longer than you have, so I've got jaded and cynical to the fact that, hey, this is actually just another company, and no, everything that comes out of their various orifices is not something that you actually need to fawn over. It isn't. It's not. I mean, look at it. It's a class announcement for Diablo 3. Oh, and something else for Diablo 3. Arena PvP. Do you have to esport everything you do now, Blizzard? Is that it? Please. It's absolutely pathetic. Now, you never know. It might be okay. It might be okay. But, honestly, /care. I remember a good hack and slash RPG that actually did PvP properly, and it was Nox, and that was the last game to ever do so. There's no other good hack and slash RPG that has good PvP, and I don't expect this to be one of them either. Not impressive at all. And then, what do we get? The Cataclysm cinematic. Ooh. Wait a minute, we saw that already. And you inexplicably put it on your YouTube channel. What was going on with that? Really? I don't know, man. I just don't know. Why would you release it early? I don't know. I wish I could say something good about that opening presentation, because you know what? I am a Blizzard fan. I like pretty much everything Blizzard puts out. The problem is that Diablo 3, for me, has always been I will definitely buy this on release, but I'm not really tracking the development too much. I'll see bits and bobs here and there. I don't care about the classes, because I'll choose what class I'm going to play when I actually have a look at the game and I have it in my hands and I have a look at what they do, and it's like, okay, I'll pick the class that I like. It's not about months and months of pre-preparation and freaking theory crafting, and no doubt some people are doing that, but I'm not one of them. So I don't care about the 5th class. I don't care what it is. It could be a goddamn killer rabbit, as far as I'm concerned. And indeed, they're already in World of Warcraft, so one has to assume that they might be in Diablo as well. If the killer rabbit class, I would happily play. And hell, I might be more enthused by the announcement of the killer rabbit class than the bloody demon hunter, but I'm sorry. There was nothing there. Yeah, we got some statistics, and we got Chris Metzen wailing on for about 25 minutes with his ridiculous indoctrination act. It was like something out in 1984. We have always been at war with Eurasia. It's terrible. Glad I'm not there. And I tell you, the stream is absolutely abysmal. You know, am I having a bit of a bitching session here? Yeah, you know what, I am, because the thing is, we've done it better. It's so sad. But WoW Radio back in the day did the streaming better than bloody DirecTV, and we didn't have to charge for it. Holy Christ. I just don't know. It seems to me that people will just buy anything that Blizzard puts out these days. And by buy, I'm not just saying, hey, buy their games, because of course you should buy their games. Their games are great. They're always great. I'm talking about everything else they do. We're talking about merchandise that's rubbish. I mean, for God's sake, have a look at the Upper Deck WoW miniatures. So awful. Awful quality, just shilled out to make as much money off the license as possible. Oh, it's got Blizzard on it. It's got Blizzard, we've got to buy it. They put out a stream, a pay-per-view event that doesn't even work. Hell, if you want evidence of that, just go and have a look at my bloody twit pic. And people said, oh, well, just use the Flash player. Right, so you want me to downgrade to the low-quality player so I can watch the stream that I paid for? God, I feel like a sucker. Hell, if I wasn't using it for work purposes, I definitely would feel like a sucker. Seriously. But you get Deathy, the reskinned Murloc pet. Oh, God. You know, L. Ron Hubbard would be jealous as hell of these guys if he was still around. Yeah? You want to make $1 million, start a religion. If you want to make $1 billion, start a cult called Blizzard. Holy shit, my. And the best thing is, you know, the people who are at BlizzCon are probably enjoying it, and they're enjoying it because it's actually kind of a cool social experience. The atmosphere of BlizzCon's really cool, it just completely lacks any semblance of content. Hopefully there'll be something in the Dungeons and Raids panel after the show, assuming the damn thing actually works. We shall see. So what have I got coming up for you in the show today? Well, here's the problem. They didn't say anything worth talking about. That's the entire freaking thing. That's it. That's all there is. Show's over. Go home. I can talk about raiding, I suppose, because I tell you what, while the BlizzCon opening thingamy-bob is probably the most disappointing and lackluster one they've ever done, the raiding that I've had the pleasure of doing, which includes those 2 evil dragons, and I did a little bit of the Ascendant Council over in the Bastion of Twilight. Now that is something to behold. I'll talk about that a little bit later on the show for you, and you know what? Since on Tuesday we sort of brought Imbecile of the Week back. Imbecile of the Week. That's my old sample. I had to cut that out of an old 2005 Blue Please. It sounds terrible, but yeah, I think we'll go back on the forums and do a little field trip again, because that worked out fairly well. You know what the sad thing is about Tuesday's episode, which at the moment, by the way, for some reason is not on iTunes. We're trying to work out why that is. If you want to listen to it, just go to the website, download it, stream it, whatever. The sad thing is that was the first thread that I came across. The first thread I clicked on was a dumb one. Now, I know that's not a representative sample, but you know what? We might go back to the forums a little bit later and see what else we can find. It's like a little safari trip. Except, sadly, we don't get to shoot the people, or indeed the animals on the safari. As much as I wish that we did. You can email them for the Cataclysm Q&A at the end of the show, folks. That's the Murloc@gmail.com. TheMurloc@gmail.com. What I'd also like to say for the live listeners is we are not using Tiny Chat today. It, 1, lags too much, and 2, I can't be asked. So use the IRC chat link at the top of the screen. There are no cams, but go on there anyway. The IRC chat at the top of the screen on cynicalbrit.com. People are saying, oh, I'll find idiots for you. I don't need your help finding idiots. Seriously, it's like shooting fish in a barrel with a grenade. Oh dear. What I will say, by the way, is congratulations to Octale and the guys from VTW who all went over to do a Versus the World con in... Oh yes, that would be... Oh yeah, Las Vegas! Yes! Las freaking Vegas! Yeah, good choice, man! That'd be good choice, man! Oh yeah, absolutely. You should definitely have gone to that, by the sounds of it. Oh, man. Let's get some mail out, shall we? Ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, mail is... Mail time!
That sounds like it's mail time. Here's the mail.
It never fails.
It makes me want to wag my tail. When it comes,
I want to wail.
Yes, indeed, folks, it is mail time. That would be the time where we read the mail. Unbelievable. Hey TB, for a while, it was in talks that the Insane title would no longer be obtainable after Cataclysm was released. However, to my dismay, I found out that in Cataclysm they are not taking out the Insane title, but in fact making it easier to obtain. Before, you had to become honoured with the Bloodsail Buccaneers after being exalted with all 4 Goblin reps. The only way to do this was to do a terrible grind in Dire Maul, apparently, turning in 1 unique key 200 plus times for the free Not quest so you would not hurt your Bloodsail rep. Now, they are making it so you do not need to be honoured and exalted at the same time. This means after becoming honoured with the Bloodsail, players can just turn around and start murdering Bloodsail Buccaneers for a significantly faster Goblin rep grind. I was the first on my server with this title, and quickly, the main thing that made me feel unique in this game is becoming easier to obtain. I know how you feel about Blizzard nerfing content for more people to experience. I was curious of your opinion on Blizzard nerfing an optional feat of strength and yet giving the same reward. Love the show and hope you take the time to talk about this. Shout out to the Blooded, best lesbian, gay, bi, and transsexual guild in the game. It's from Johnny Kakis on US Kurobashi. I don't know whether or not they claim of being the best lesbian, gay, bisexual, transvestite, or do they call it transsexual, transgendered? I have no idea. Sorry, I am straight, and as such, very much blind to your ways. Anyway, yeah, nerfing this is dumb, honestly. Seeing all the content was bad enough with raids. Seeing all the content when it's an optional achievement is ridiculous. You can see all the content with or without the nerf. What content do we get to see? I will enjoy grinding my Ravenhold rep. And my... what the hell else was it? Stuff that what was the Dire Maul faction? The Shen something or other, I don't know. Whatever the case. If you do the Insane title, it is very, very appropriate because you are literally insane with nothing better to do, and I would strongly recommend that you ask me about better games that you can spend your time in. I mean, maybe if you don't have a lot of money and you can't afford anything, then I can maybe understand it. But, oh, lordy, people. Why would you do this? Why? Why? I can't understand why you'd waste so much time on something so pointless. But what I do understand, ladies and gentlemen, is that yes, owning something like that does give you a feeling of uniqueness and belonging within the game. I understand this because I own something that does just that. It is called the Murky. And you know what? I went to Blizzcon 2005, where they had the best opening announcement. And where it wasn't 50% more expensive than it is now. And even then, there was still a lack of content. But hey, I got to play StarCraft Ghost and realised why they cancelled it, because it wasn't very good. Oh, man. Oh, man. Yeah, you know what? It does, in fact, make you feel absolutely and completely emasculated, I suppose. Because, you know what, they're going to be putting in, supposedly, the Murky into Cataclysm. There's a hard-boiled egg, which yields a Murky pet, which looks exactly the same as the other Murky pets. Now, I never really minded when they put in the variations, the Lurky and the Gurky, and even the Deathy and stuff like that, and certainly the Grunty, because they're not the same as the Murky. But if you can get something that is the Murky, then basically what you're doing there is saying, yeah, you know that one little piece of memorabilia for the 10,000-mile round trip that you actually took? Well, sorry. Everyone else gets to have it now, because there can't be anything unique within the game. Nothing. We can't have that. We can't have something that's hard to obtain because, oh, well, you pay $15 a month. You're entitled to all the content, darling. Yes, all-you-can-eat buffet of content that you absolutely do not deserve. Yeah, nerfing the insane achievement is dumb. I would never in a million years want to go for that achievement. But the point of the fact is that I don't have to see all the content to have value from my subscription because I'm not 10 years old. Not an entitled, bleeding heart moron. Therefore, I don't need all of this stuff. It is okay for me to see other people get it because they have the interest and the drive to get it. And it's okay for me to say, hey, that guy's got the insane. Isn't that so unique and neat? Wasn't that the point of feats of strength, that they couldn't be done after the fact? We're not going to nerf a feat of strength. Good lord. We know that it's ridiculous, but the point of the fact is it's called the insane, and people have already done it, so why make it easier? You just take away from the value for those people, and yeah, it is a personal, subjective, entirely sentimental value. It gives no benefit at all. However, that doesn't matter, because it matters to the person who has it. And that's it. That is all that matters. If it matters to them, then it matters. So why the hell ruin it? I don't know. I don't even get them these days. My name's TotalBiscuit. You're listening to Blue Please here on CynicalBrit.com. I'll be right back after this. This song contains some strong and indeed harsh language. This is Richard Cheese with Insane in the Brain. Enjoy.
It be another quiet night in the swamp, my friends. Time again to be channeling the powers of the voodoo, like Vol'jin taught us, and seeing into the mists of time. I see a place where the trolls of the future will go for their entertainment. A place called GotGame.com. By clairvoyance, I be seeing the horde favorite original shows like Game Nights TV, The Irate Gamer, Virtual Rob, The Swag Show, Gaming Mysteries, and something called Mr. Suck. These be the kind of things that would make the Darkspear proud.
GotGame.com is your video game source for entertaining and original videos, reviews, and more. Preferred by trolls everywhere.
You are listening to Blue Please here on CynicalBrit.com with myself, TotalBiscuit. Let me just repeat that for a second. CynicalBrit.com. This is not Happy Brit. This is not Chilled Brit. This is not Jubilant Brit. It is cynical. Learn to spell it. Learn to love it or loathe it. I really couldn't care less. But whatever the case, if you're expecting something other than this show, the door is to your left. And if the door is to your right, then I suggest you spin 180 degrees. Because I shall use my Chris Metzen-style indoctrination. Door is to your left. Unbelievable. Reality-bending powers. Get over it. Shock Jock Show. Labeled very clearly. Oh my god, I tuned in to listen to news. Then you're an idiot. I tuned in to listen to this and that. Then you're an idiot. You tuned in to listen to a shock jock, ranty show about World of Warcraft, which is what it's been for the last 5 freaking years. I would like to change the show because I want it to be this way. Nobody cares. You are one of 80,000 listeners. Big deal. You know, I got told off by one of my viewers for bringing in reality into the equation last night. When someone said, "Oh, I don't like this kind of series, you should do this," and I told them, what the hell do you think I told them to do? I told them to get lost. Why would I not tell them to get lost? You are one of 146,000 subscribers. 1 in 146,000 is as much as your opinion matters. It is a literal drop in the ocean. Once you get that into your head, and once you stop believing that you are a unique and beautiful snowflake, the more bearable life will become. For God's sake, please make something out of yourself in real life. Have people respect you for a reason, instead of having people not so much respect you, but have you demand imaginary internet respect for doing nothing at all, just because you happen to have an opinion. Congratulations, everybody has an opinion. Some indeed have more than one. Some hold conflicting opinions at the same time. We like to call them Republicans. Now, honestly, if people could just come back to reality for a second, stop trying to pretend that there's something special on the internet, and work towards something tangible, then we might have a few less wasters in the world. Good. You know, that applies to WoW as well. It really does, honestly. It does apply to WoW. These are the people who think they're unique and beautiful snowflakes, and they are entitled to everything. We are special. We pay a subscription fee, as if no one else does. It's like, I am part of the premium membership club. Yeah, like everybody else. Welcome to reality, folks. Even within your virtual reality, reality has to set in, and I wish it would. Because you know what? If we had that, we'd have a better game. If people were more realistic about the fact that, I can't do this content. So, let's say, let's have a think. So, let's say I am a amateur sportsman, and I am into the high jump, and I cannot jump over a certain height. I don't know what kind of height would be good. I know when I was a kid, I was able to jump over a meter bar. I don't know if that was any good. Probably not. Then again, I have very short legs and a long back, which kind of sucks. So, in real life, if I were a sportsman, what would I do in order to get over that bar? Well, if I were a normal person, if I were a mature and responsible person, bear in mind, I'm not mature or responsible, I just want to point this out. I am immature and utterly irresponsible in every possible respect. If I were a normal person, however, what would I do? Well, I would practice, and I would keep trying, and I would eventually, hopefully, get over the bar. And if I didn't get over the bar, you know what I'd do? I'd just keep at it, or I would just give up. And I'd accept, hey, I am not good enough to get over the bar. If a WoW player was doing the high jump, what they would have to do is they would demand, ladies and gentlemen, they would demand that the bar be lowered. And then they would demand the certificate for doing the higher jump. Or indeed, as someone very accurately pointed out in the IRC channel, they would use a pogo stick. You know, actually, pogo sticks are actually really hard. The proper pogo sticks, not those pogo ball things. Pogo balls are for casuals. Honestly, they are. They were brought in specifically because people couldn't do pogo sticks because a pogo stick is too hard. So I'm going to give you a pogo ball. It's got the word pogo in it, so it must be the same thing. You are entitled to use this pogo ball. That 30% buff that you got within the Ice Crown Citadel, that is the WoW equivalent of a pogo ball. Yeah, the real pogoers, the hardcore pogoers, they use the pogo stick because the pogo stick's really hard. Everyone else uses the pogo ball. But the thing is, they demand to be on the same level as the pogo stickers. And they say, I am a great pogo sticker. But no, you're using a pogo ball. I am using a pogo stick. Allow me to use the internet reality distortion field. See, now it's a pogo stick. Blizzard says it's a pogo stick. I paid the same price for my pogo ball as your pogo stick. Therefore, I'm riding a pogo stick. That is the most, I might add, mentions of pogo stick you will ever get in a single WoW podcast. That is why you listen to this show, folks. Not for news, for mentions of pogo sticks. It's garbage. I'm sorry, idiots. Entitlement, folks. Entitlement is disgusting. Terrible behaviour. Which leads me on to, I suppose we could do a topic on this, actually. Since we're halfway through this and I really don't have the time to actually start on the raiding stuff, allow me to talk about the concept of you can't do this because it'll make PUGs unpleasant. This is a phenomenon that keeps cropping up in my comments box. Whenever I make a comment in a video where I ask for something to be changed or made harder or whatever, whenever I give feedback, there's always one, and more accurately, sometimes more than one, there was always somebody who comes along and said, you can't do this because PUGs will suffer. PUGs are designed for suffering. In some language, no doubt, PUG stands for suffering. If it doesn't stand for suffering, it should, because that's what a PUG is. Didn't someone say that hell was other people? Something like that? Is that a quote? Hell is other people. Quote. Who said this? Jean-Paul Sartre. L'enfer c'est la tour. Usually translated as hell is other people. Why do you think pugging is ever going to be pleasant? Because here's the thing. Pugging takes the worst possible aspects of the internet. Anonymity and entitlement. Yeah? Anonymity and entitlement. Then you combine it with World of Warcraft, which makes everyone even worse. It does. It makes people horrible. Absolutely disgracefully horrible. Because, well, it's an MMO, and people in MMOs tend to act like absolute twats. Then, just to make matters even better, but this is the great bit, you add in a dash, indeed a heap of misplaced elitism. Usually, it comes from, well, the WoW equivalent of a dick-waving contest, which would, of course, be Gear Score. Gear Score, a terrible system. I respect people's right to use it. I do not respect the system on its own because it sucks and there are better systems available. Use Elitist Group, for God's sake. Why do you not use it? Why are you people so very, very silly? Why are you silly? You get given, on a silver platter, a better system called Elitist Group. And do you use it? No! I want to use the inferior dumb system. Reminds me of the bloody VHS versus Betamax thing. Oh, man. The PUG is vile. You should hate the PUG. You should see it driven before you. You should purge the PUG. You would scourge the PUG. Yes, indeed. Kill the PUG. Scourge the heretic for the Emperor. That's what you should be doing. Because you take all these elements. You take anonymity. You take entitlement. You take World of Warcraft players, and then you add in a nice big heap of misplaced elitism. And what do you get? Well, you get the PUG. And the PUG is a disaster waiting to happen. Because what you're talking about is a group that inherently does not have cohesion. It doesn't know each other. It has no idea. It's probably never played with this person before. It is relying on the fact that everybody knows the tactics and is able to act as a cohesive group. Now, that's not really a problem in Wrath Heroics, because you can face roll all of it with 3 people if you so desire. So you really don't need 5 competent people to do Wrath Heroics, and that has been proven time and again. Indeed, the introduction of the random group system proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that you do not need competent people to successfully beat a dungeon. All you need are 5 breathing, warm bodies. Or a cat. Or 2 cats, if you really want to get hardcore, folks. The PUG is an inherently flawed system. Because as well as cohesion, you have a group that does not have communication. Let's be honest, nobody uses WoW voice over IP. You want to know why? Because it's terrible. It hasn't been upgraded in ages. You know what? We've been sponsored by Ventrilo providers for years, right? You know, they're sponsored WoW Radio, they're sponsored Cynical Break, UGT servers. They provide, as you might imagine, a good service. Our public vent is run by them, and it never crashes. It's really reliable, and it sounds great. And I was actually kind of worried honestly, I was kind of worried that bringing in the WoW voice over IP system would kill their business. And you know what? It's only made it better. You wanna know why it's only made it better? Because it's like having the ugliest kid in school follow you around to make you look more attractive by comparison. The WoW voice over IP system is just that. It makes Vent look like the amazing golden god of voice-over IP communication, because WoW's voice-over IP is so awful that you could use anything and it would be better. Anything. What a disaster. An unbelievable, complete, and total mess. It's quite crazy, isn't it? I'm glad that it's there, don't get me wrong. It's nice to have an option, but when was the last time you ever saw a pug go on it? It's so bad that I can't see why you'd even want to. I don't blame anyone for not using that thing. Oh. But people say all the time, it'll kill pugs. Isn't that a good thing? Don't you want pugs to die? I would. I want pugs to die. Pugs are a disgraceful way of doing content. People say, oh, but you get to socialise. You don't socialise. When was the last pub you actually went into? Is yelling at your teammates for failing miserably and then rage quitting out of a dungeon classed as socialising these days? When I were a lad, that was not the case, I can tell you that for a fact. That's not social, that's antisocial. Pugs are inherently antisocial. You have people that go into pugs, rightly, I might add, with a mindset that everyone they meet in there is going to be absolutely worthless. Not only are they going to be worthless, but they're going to be obnoxious and they're going to waste your time. So you go in there with an inherently hostile attitude, and it is almost impossible not to. I don't blame anyone for going in there with an inherently hostile attitude. I would. Because that comes from personal experience. That comes from that little formula that I said earlier. Anonymity. Plus entitlement. Plus World of Warcraft. Plus a healthy or indeed unhealthy dose of misplaced elitism equals the pug. That's science, folks. You cannot argue with science. A pug is inherently bad, and when it's not bad, it is the exception. It has to be bad. Every element of it, the very construction, the very fibre of the pug's existence, is flawed to the core. So anything that makes pugs more unpleasant is a good thing. You want to know why? Because sometimes you have to use the stick. They provided the carrot, leading people into the glorious light, into the renaissance, into the new age of guild play, the way that it was always meant to be. And here's the thing, people are stubborn. So you know what? Give them hell. Give them other people. Make them hate pugging with every fibre of their being, and they will hopefully learn to do it the right way, which is get into a guild, enjoy the wonderful environments of guilds, enjoy the various benefits, both tangible and intangible, of a guild. That is real social activity, folks, within a video game. Clan play has always been the most social. Guild play is just a clan. Ergo, it is still the most social way to play. So, if a dungeon is too difficult, that it's going to make pugging hell, stop pugging. If this mechanic or that mechanic is going to make pugging unpleasant, stop pugging. Let it die, and indeed be the very reason why it dies. Stop pugging. My name is TotalBiscuit, you're listening to Blue Please here on CynicalBrit.com. That's my master plan, folks. Here's master plans. It's Headbangers Ballroom. Enjoy.
You're listening to the podcast, an archive of Blue Please. Music was removed to comply with copyright law. If you'd like to hear the music, tune into the live stream on Fridays at 8 p.m. GMT. That's 3 p.m. EST, only on CynicalBrit.com.
Friend, I've got what you need. A premium quality Ventrilo server from UGTservers.com. It's goblin engineering, you see. Not like those inferior gnome products, always backfiring. If you're short on cash, you can even share the cost of the server with Guild Deposit. Have those lazy guildies of yours pay their dues. You know, I could offer you this amazing electric cattle prod that'll really get them moving.
UGTservers.com. Voice communication for your guild. Get yours today.
Yes, indeed, folks. You're listening to Blue Please right here on CynicalBrit.com. And, hang on a second. I appear to have received a letter. Seems to have the royal seal on it. Oh, it's from Blizzard. Okay. Dear TotalBiscuit, you have to be nicer to our players, or we will kill you horribly? That's not very nice, is it? Huh. Okay, I guess I'm going to have to be nice. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Happy Flowers and Kittens, please, right here on the wonderful Brit.com with myself, Joyous Biscuit. I love everything Blizzard ever does. What's that you say? Blizzard just released some kind of keyring for $45 that plays a Murloc sound? Instant sale! I'm sorry, I can't do it. I can't do it! It's like acid through my throat. It's like bile raising from my stomach. It's pain. It's fire within me as I try and speak those words. Oh, lordy, lordy. Okay. So about raiding. You know what? If the second and third encounters of the Bastion of Twilight are anything to go by, then Blizz done good. Oh, yes, they did. Hell yeah. Let me talk about that. So, you might have seen the first boss, and the first boss wasn't all that good, but the cool thing about the first boss is at least it actually varies itself up. You know, this is something that I hadn't really considered. That's something that actually does help a little bit with raid burnout, and that's making the boss vary up the mechanics every week. And you might think that's an outlandish concept, but no, it's been done before in Blackwing Lair. It was done with the coloured draconoids that came in Phase 1. Yes, indeed. Phase 1 of the Nefarian fight. It varied up on a week-to-week basis, and some were harder than others. In this case, they've taken that a little bit further. The first phase of the Harfus Wormbreaker fight will have one of 5 different worms. I believe there are 4 worms, and there are also a box of little dragonlings. The whelps. Yes, indeed, the whelps. And you're going to get 2 of those every week, and it can mix up. There can be all kinds of different possibilities. So, the question, I suppose, is that fight any good? Well, the answer is it's all right. But it does lack certain things. It's not the best fight ever. I mean, we did it on what was supposedly one of the hardest combinations. I think there might have been a harder one if we didn't have the whelps and we got another Drake instead. But it wasn't all that hard. You know, we wiped a few times just learning it and then we killed it and meh. At least we wiped a few times. That's more than I could say for, all of Naxxramas, with the exception of one boss. I think we wiped one song in the first Kel'Thuzad, and then we just steamrolled the guy. Whoop-a-dee-doo-dah day, ladies and gentlemen. Exciting, isn't it? But second boss. Oh, wow. I tell you, the second boss reminds me of the one good bit of Wrath. And you want to know what that was, folks? The one really good bit of Wrath was when Old War first came out. Old War was like that epic return to form. You know, you've got this favourite athlete, and then for 6 months, for half the season or whatever, he ends up just being an absolute and total failure, an albatross around the neck of his team, and you just get upset, and you're upset for not only yourself for watching this guy, but you're sorry for him, and that's how I felt for Blizzard, if I wasn't so goddamn annoyed. I felt sorry for Blizzard with that awful, awful excuse for a opening set of raid content that was the first 6 months of Wrath. And then when Ulduar came out, I was like, oh, it's the holy grail of raiding. It's a huge instance with hard modes and wonderful variety and challenge and awesome stuff. And how long did it take to kill Yogg Zero, ladies and gentlemen? How long did that take? Many, 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 many times. And someone saying the coloured Draconoids happened within the Therian fight. You know, I actually said that, right? Is this people sending in comments before they've actually finished listening to what I said? Good lord. This happens on YouTube and now it's happening on my live show. I get tweets saying, this was in the Therian fight. I said that about 5 seconds after mentioning the mechanic. Why are you so foolish? Oh, my fans, please set them on fire. You know, we could warm the houses of so many starving Darfur war orphans. Although I don't think they really need all that much warming, but hey. Oh, wow. Nah, I almost lost my trail of thought, though. In fact, I think I have. Ulduar was this amazing instance, and it only got boring because we were in it for so bloody long. And because the alternative was a absolutely abysmal, yes, I do indeed mean abysmal raid. And of course everyone went there because, hey, these epics are now better than Ulduar, ergo, Ulduar is obsolete. We just obsoleted the best piece of content that we put out in the last 4 years. Yay! For a bloody arena. Reminds me of the bloody Diablo 3 arena. Yay, Diablo 3 arena. It can't be any worse than TOC. That should be the tagline. Blizzard, please hire me for your marketing department. I will sell billions! Oh, wow. Well, it's not Nox, but at least it's not TOC. See, I'm just coming out with them right here. I'm a marketing genius. They just roll off the brain. Oh, man. The thing about the second boss of Bastion of Twilight, and as I discovered, part of the third boss before it killed us in the face over and over again, and we rejoiced in the pain. I feel the warp overtaking me. 'Tis a good pain. We raided it for chaos. Yes, we did. And we loved every goddamn second of it. The second boss. How can I describe the second boss? The second boss is like the first ever attempt on the unnerfed XT002. It's like that. What else would it be like? It's like your first ever shot at Vash. It's like your first ever shot at Kale. That's what it feels like. It's like your first ever shot at some of the great bosses in AQ40. Maybe even Cthulhu. You know, it's better to compare it to the Twin Emps, but the problem with the Twin Emps is the Twin Emps actually wasn't all that entertaining. It was just a rigid execution fest. It wasn't all that fun a fight. It just required, until, of course, nerfs came in, which they really didn't actually, come to think of it. I don't think they ever really nerfed Twin Emps. Not to my knowledge, at any rate. Oh, they nerfed Cthulhu because Cthulhu was actually impossible, so I don't know whether you call that a nerf or a fix. Double beams, enjoy! It's like all of those things. It's like if you've done any really great raid encounter, and there are so many, honestly. There really are. It's like that first Prince Malchazar. Is it Malchazar or is it Malazar? I don't know. Yes. You face not Malchazar alone. Whatever, that'll work. It's like your first attempt on that, dude. It's like there's so much stuff going on, and it can all kill you. And if it doesn't kill you, it'll port you to the Twilight Realm and then kill you. Hey, here's a failure state with more explosions. That fight is pure freaking raiding gold. And that's only the second fight in the dungeon. I'm told that Cho'Gall is unbelievable. And of course, I actually had a few attempts on the Ascendant Council. Holy hell! What a fight! mechanics. So many cool mechanics. Wonderful mechanics. Hell, even the trash before the Ascendant Council had more unique mechanics than the entirety of Nax 2.0 put together. Or TOC. Yes, TOC only had one unique mechanic. You want to know what that was? Ikaruga. Oh wait, that's not really unique, is it? But hey, the Ikaruga boss. But I am sorry. No, I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry for loving the raids that are currently in Cataclysm Beta. Because almost everything I've played so far has been unbelievably good. So I played the 25-man mode of Valeria and Thuralion, I believe is the name of that 2-dragon encounter. I played a bit of that, and that was fun as well. They do a few more explosions, as you might imagine. They actually, I think, do 2 or possibly even 3 imbue magics. They also do a few more meteors. But actually, they've balanced the difficulty so well that it is the same difficulty. There were some doubts that Blizzard could actually pull this off. They pulled it off. Oh, they did. The 25-man mode of Valiona and Thuralion is as hard as the 10-man mode. The 10-man mode is as hard as the 25. There is balance there. Blatant balance. The mechanics are incredibly well put together. That fight is just madness. Madness. It really is as well. I mean, Phase 2 would be intense enough if there wasn't a frickin' dragon using the Felmist mechanic to plow across the screen with giant green purple balls of flame and annihilating everything within it. And if you don't die, you're in the Twilight Realm, and suddenly there are crystals everywhere. Ooh, shall I pick them up? No, let's not do that because they explode and kill you. Oh, there are also mobs in there that are also going to try and kill you. Oh, it's so fun! Man, it is so good! I cannot express just what a great fight it is. And I cannot express how freaking annoyed I'm going to be if it gets nerfed. Because you know what? It reminds me of XT002, which was also a great fight. Until they made it the most nerfed boss ever. I do mean ever. As far as I'm aware, no boss has been nerfed as much as XT002. Ever. In the history of ever. Unbelievably bad. You made this amazing boss and then you nerfed it so hard you hit it with the nerf bat. You caused it pain. You caused it suffering. I'm so upset by that. But I tell you, that fight is awesome. Let me tell you about the other one as well. I want to tell you about Ascendant Council. This is what I played of it. It's just silly. It's so fun. We only got to Phase 2, and it was still crazy. And Phase 3 is where shiz really gets real. Oh, man. It is absolutely fantastic. So, what happens is you go in there, and you encounter these 2 Twilight Ascendant. There are 4 in total. You fight the first 2, and what you've got to do is you've got to DPS them both down to about 30%, then knock one of them under 25. Because if you don't, and you screw it up, then it makes Phase 3 really hard, because you don't knock enough health off. So, what else happens? Well, let me describe the mechanics for you. So, you go in there, you've got your 2 things, you have to tank both, so it's a 2-tank fight. First thing, you go up against a fire and a water guy. So, you've got a magic dispellable ability, which is meh. But the second mechanic's what's really entertaining. He jumps to a random target in the raid and then charges back with a knockback, and he leaves fire on the ground. And then he does a blast wave AoE, which can be interrupted, but he's got a shield on him, so you've got to knock the shield down. Now, that sounds fairly easy, but it's actually kind of not, because you have to DPS down both the targets to about 30%. So, when it's like, oh, look, the shield's gone up quick, we've got to switch back to the target, switch between the 2, let's not get tunnel vision, let's not hit 3, I'm Arcane Mage, hit 3, hit 4, hit 3, hit 3, hit 3. You have to actually be awake and switch targets, unbelievably. Here's really cool stuff, though. So, the water boss has a few things. It's got a random water bolt ability that's going to throw at random things, and it will put a debuff on you. And the only way you can get rid of it, it's actually called waterlogged, I think. The only way you can get rid of it is running into the fire. Yes, you have to actually stand in the fire to get rid of this ridiculous thing. And if you don't, it will freeze you and also possibly kill you. There's also a spell called Glaciate, which will one-shot anything within melee range when it's cast, and there's a random frost damage debuff. But that's not the only cool thing, because that sounds fairly cool, but the thing is, this all synergizes together with the theme of this particular area. I want to just extend the music bed, because I want to talk more about this fight. There you go, see? Wonderful. So, in the trash leading up to this, you actually have 4 kinds of trash that are themed to the bosses, and they'll give you a few clues about the mechanics. So you've got these fire and you've got these water elementals. And the fire elemental will hit you like a truck every time you hit him unless you get rid or protect yourself from this fire shield that he's got. And the frost one reduces 75% of incoming damage unless you get rid of the frost shield. How do you do it, folks? Well, you have to be really careful here because this room is full of elementals. You've got to pull the right one. So you've got to pull a fire and a frost elemental. The frost one will give you this buff, which allows you to do damage to the fire one without being hurt. But the thing is, you've got to balance the damage you do to both. It's because if the fire one dies before the frost one, then the frost one's shield comes back up. And if the frost one's shield's back up, 75% damage reduction. If the fire shield is back up and you don't have the buff, then you're just getting hit in the face with your own damage. It's so awesome. And it actually reflects the mechanics of there, because you've got to use the fire to put out the water, and indeed, in the case of Phase 2, you have to deal with Earth and Wind. Earth and Wind's got some great stuff. So, when you get the Wind guy is going to spawn a tornado. It's going to move around the room. You have to jump into the tornado. Why? Because the ground one will do an earthquake that kills everybody. But amusingly enough, just to make matters a little bit more interesting, he also does ground spikes and spawns a void zone that pulls you in if you are too close and grounds you. So you get stuck to the ground. And you die instantly if the quake goes off. And this is only Phase 2, because in Phase 3, they all merge into one amazing huge dude with ads. Oh, wow. Freaking amazing. That's it. Hopefully I'll have video of this over the next couple of days for you, but my. It's so very, very cool. Conclusion, folks. You know what they should have done for the BlizzCon announcement? They should have just shown that. Seriously. They should have just shown the raids. Don't announce anything, just say, here's Valiola and Thralian and the Ascendant Council. Oh, and here's Cho'Gall. Watch this for 45 minutes. You'll come away feeling more enthused about this expansion than anything you could ever possibly imagine. All Blizzard has to do now is stick to their guns, because here's what they've done. Even the first boss, I would say is about XT002 difficulty level, pre-nerf. And Valiona and Thralian, they're like, I wouldn't necessarily say... Valiona and Thralian, I would say a Mimiron level difficulty. And that's the opening raids, folks. They're not going back to Raiding 101. Their absolute failure of Raiding 101 with Nax. We're going to make things way, way easier than the starting content of the last expansion, because it'll teach people how to play. As it turns out, it did not, in fact, show them how to raid. Raid is something that actually kills you. Raid is something that's actually challenging. Raid is the feeling and the screams on Ventrilo when you finally down a boss you've been working on for ages, and you know that you overcame a real, genuine obstacle. That is what Raid is. That's what Cataclysm currently is, in my personal experience. I've had a look at the videos for the other stuff, and it looks just as good. I'm told the Omnitron defense system and everything within Blackwing Descent is amazing. Hell, I'm even told, ladies and gentlemen, that the Baron and Hole boss, i.e. the equivalent of VOA, is actually kinda hard. I know. Not the most difficult thing ever, but difficult enough. My name is TotalBiscuit. You are listening to Blue Please here on CynicalBrit.com. After the break, we will come back with... Imbecile of the week. Forum is terrible. Oh, yes. Machine Head, folks. Sound good? Haven't played Machine Head in ages. I'll be right back after this, folks. This one's called Block. Enjoy.
You're listening to the podcast, an archive of Blue Please. Music was removed to comply with copyright law. If you'd like to hear the music, tune into the live stream on Fridays at 8 p.m. GMT. That's 3 p.m. EST, only on CynicalBrit.com.
Yes, indeed, folks, you are listening to Blue Please here on CynicalBrit.com with myself, TotalBiscuit. Those of you who missed it, by the way, I don't know if I mentioned it last show, maybe I did, maybe I didn't. I will be at DreamHack, incidentally. I will definitely, by the looks of it, be at DreamHack. So, if you want to go meet up at DreamHack, absolutely, there may possibly be some kind of booth presence that I may or may not be involved in. We'll see. Anyway. Got to let that fester and see what we can get sorted out over there, but I will definitely be there. What else? Oh yeah, I'll also be at the I-41 I-Series event. That's the... when the hell is that? That's the second weekend of November. As to whether or not I'm casting the StarCraft 2 there, I don't know yet. It's looking likely, but there are no confirmations, so... we shall see. If you go on the I-Series event down in Newbury, that massive, great, stonking, huge LAN event down there as well, then we shall see. Okay, folks, because this never, ever, ever, ever gets old. Actually, I'm looking at the time at the moment, and I think... I need to watch the Dungeons & Raids panel, but the thing is, you can VOD it, so... whatever, I'll just let the show run on longer, it's not a big deal. Although that might annoy people. If you want to tune out in the last 15 minutes to go watch the Dungeons & Raids panel on the stream, I really don't blame you, by the way. But since you can rewind it, which is nice, considering it's totally broken otherwise, then, yeah, I think I'll do that. Okay. We're going to have a look at the forums, folks, because you know what? Episode of the Week used to be something I did a long, long time ago. I go and look for a forum thread that was dumb. This was back in the day when I had to look. Now I just point my finger randomly at the screen, and inevitably I will find something incredibly stupid, which is why I'm doing this right now on the EU forums. I choose you! Okay. Is this actually stupid? We might have... Hearth of the Phoenix. Interesting. Nice start. Okay. Well, that was fairly dumb, but I can't do an entire thread about that. Can't even spell Heart of the Phoenix, folks. Good start to this one. Oh, yeah. Oh, man. I just want to know why my Hearth of the Phoenix is not instant autocast anymore when my pet dies. But it's a talent that I need to press. Can this be fixed? What should I do? Hearth of the Phoenix. Ah! Let's find something silly, shall we? Shouldn't be too problematic. Is that real or fake? Realm First 85. Heirloom prices are too high. Yeah, BlizzCon Ray V. Now, that's not going to be stupid, because I've tried the Ray V player. It's a frickin' joke. Lurky removed? Well, no. Yeah, it's a known bug. That's actually been fixed. Okay, we don't have to worry too much about that. Because of all of this BlizzCon stuff, it's mostly a BlizzCon stream is down, BlizzCon stream is down, BlizzCon stream is down, BlizzCon stream is down. Oh, no. This might be good. Oh, actually, this is all sensible. As much as I would like. Actually, no, this will be perfect. Because we're going to do a little bit of reverse imbecile of the week right here. I'll put a link for you in the IRC channel. If you're not already there and you're listening to the live show, go and head on over to the IRC chat button at the top of the screen on cynicalbrit.com. So, the poster, the original poster, is absolutely right here. Right, so this thread actually says, Sigh, I'm so fed up with the community in general. Being vanilla/old school player, I've seen WoW change every time. Some changes ended up great, some went smooth, and yeah, most big patches brought issues or imbalanced situations. What I'm finding sad is mostly that people are acting with nerd rage. I mean, why post a thread that you're going to cancel your account? You and I both know if you ain't bluffing, you would buy Cataclysm and put playtime on it. This is and always will be a game. Gaming is meant to be entertaining, relaxing, and after a day of work, when you're done with your house tasks and homework or whatever, you boot it up and you play for a few hours. Sure, you got no lifers. Trust me, I've been through periods of playing 18 hours a day. How did you find content to play 18 hours a day? Anyway. He goes on and say, yeah, blah, 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 Blizzard just in for the money, etc., etc. Why post? Well, it's a very good point, really, because why post? But, of course, the bleeding hearts and those who believe that their opinion matters far more than it actually does, well, they post. They continue to post. Here we go. It's from Orion, Twilight Brigade. He managed to misspell Orion. Because, misspelled, so let me try and pronounce this phonetically. Bikasu, Blizzard asks you to post when you cancel your account. No, they don't. They don't ask you to do that. Are you kidding? If everyone posted when they cancelled their account, it would be a disaster. You couldn't do anything. You cannot be serious. That's an ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous thing to say. I mean, lordy. Think about it for a second. Think of how many people on sub on a daily basis. If each of them posted a thread, the forums would be unusable. Completely and totally unusable. I was given the same message, but didn't post a thread about it. Just trying to be somewhat constructive. Well, sometimes. Okay. Right, so you agree that for the majority of the time you are not, in fact, being constructive, you're being an idiot. I see. Okay, at least you're honest about it. That's a cut above most of the idiots. Maybe that's why you see so many posts. No, you see so many posts because people think their opinion matters way more. You see so many posts because there are people like last week. Yeah, last week. I remember last week. Last week was a goddamn disaster. Because, well... You remember that one, don't you? I am an investor. Pfft. I am an investor. Please. People that don't understand the difference between investor and customer. I am an investor, folks. I must make my voice heard. Oh, please. 17 days left on my account as I don't see the point in playing the game in its current state prior to Cataclysm. No, you can't have my stuff. I'll be renewing for Cata. Okay, that's reasonable. Try to see it from other people's perspective. No one expected a patch in this state to ever see live and filled with changes that don't work with the current content. Yeah, true. But here's the thing. You don't post saying you're cancelling. Because you don't need to. You want to know why? There's an interface in the cancel menu that allows you, ladies and gentlemen, it allows you to put in a reason. That's where you tell them. You don't post on the forum. If you have something constructive to say, one, look for a thread that already exists. Because most of them, they're already there. Somebody's already posted a thread about it. Post in that. You see so many people posting all sorts of stuff. I say, oh, well, unique and beautiful snowflake. I need my own thread. That other thread is just inferior. What ho? Oh, please. That's the problem with the forums, really. People think their opinion matters so bloody much. And someone said it in the IRC channel very, very well, actually. They think they're part of a community. That they are actually well known. No, they're not part of a community. They're absolutely 110% not part of a community. It's not a community. It's a cesspit. Please. It is. It is an absolute, total, freaking cesspit. I don't see a community within those forums, and I posted on them for 4 or 5 years. There's just nothing. Is there anything else in this thread? WoW is dying. As soon as it was created, it was on a downward spiral to death. How long it takes is the key point. Oh, wow. Yeah. I don't know if he's trying to be philosophical there, or if he's just saying, oh, well, you know, it was better in the old days. Because it wasn't, you know. People like to claim it was better than the old days. It really wasn't. So bad. Oh, wow. Just threads, man. These kind of threads are an absolute, total disaster area. People insist on putting forward their dumb opinion as to why they are cancelling. And you know what? It actually is a poisonous thing to do. People don't like to hear that. If there is an issue, there will no doubt be a thread on it. And of course, that thread will turn into absolute junk. You want to know why it'll turn into junk? Because someone will get offended by it. Something will be said that personally offends someone, and as soon as that happens, the thread is dead, because it will degenerate into a flame war. Because as soon as people start taking things personally, it's game over. You can't have rational discussion anymore. And honestly, if you're gonna quit, put your reason in the box. You know what? You know what would happen, yeah? If 10,000 people unsubbed one day, and they all put the same reason in the box, that, ladies and gentlemen, would actually get Blizzard's attention. Posting a thread? No. They don't care. It'll degenerate into a flame war and they'll get locked. What? They're not going to listen. They're not going to pay attention to that. And more to the point, you're using the forum as your own personal blog. And that's bad for everybody else. Because like I said before, what happens if 10,000 people quit one day and they all posted a thread? Well, for one thing, the forums would crash. It would be unusable for days. I've seen, actually, there have been a few occasions whereby that has actually happened. Where people have all just posted their own threads as some kind of protest. And that wasn't even with 10,000 people. That was with like 100. And still, the forums were unusable for days as a direct result of it. Absolutely, I respect and would indeed implore people to vote with their feet. If they are not enjoying the game, then unsub. Come back when it's good, or if it's not good and if it doesn't meet your expectations anymore, don't pay for it. Why do you pay for a service that's substandard? But what you don't do, ladies and gentlemen, what you absolutely do not do is pollute the forums by spamming your nonsense there and just... It goes back to this whole unique and beautiful snowflake nonsense. You're not that important, folks. I'm sorry. Nobody is. I'm not. And I have a platform. And I'm still would never post a thread like that. Because I'm not that important and no one is. If there are issues, vote with your frickin' feet. Please. My name is TotalBiscuit, and you are listening to Blue Please, here on CynicalBrit.com. Oh man, the Raids and Dungeons panel looks like it's starting in a couple of minutes. There's a nice bit of Cataclysm B-roll on there as well. Interesting stuff. I have to have a look at that. Shall I do the Q&A? Yeah, why not? I can always rewind the Raids and Dungeons panel. That sounds like a fairly reasonable bet. Cataclysm Q&A after the break, folks. Email in themurloc@gmail.com. That is themurloc@gmail.com with any questions you might happen to have for the Cataclysm Q&A. We'll do shout-outs at the end of the show, as always. So, in the meantime, I am going to give you some music. Bit of Sabbath sounds like a good idea to me, honestly. Bit of Wizard. Enjoy.
You're listening to the podcast, an archive of Blue Please. Music was removed to comply with copyright law. If you'd like to hear the music, tune into the live stream on Fridays at 8 p.m. GMT. That's 3 p.m. EST, only on CynicalBrit.com.
Yes, indeed, folks, Cataclysm Q&A at the end of the show. Admittedly, of course, like I say, server 1 for the broadcast is down. It has fallen flat on its arse, so there is nothing we can do about that, since the people that maintain it are in Las Vegas right now, so there you go. Cataclysm Q&A, we'll do that, we'll do some shout-outs, and then I'm going to go off and rewind the Dungeons & Raids panel so I can actually watch it and see if anything's interesting. I am told that there's going to be information about 4.1, by the way. 4.1. Yes, that'll be the new raid, supposedly. The one that's going to be coming in after the launch, which is either going to be the Firelands or the War of the Ancients, I would suggest. That's my thoughts on it anyway. It may or may not be, of course, but it sounds like it is. Okay, let's do a bit Q&A. Obviously, a lot of the questions have now been answered, so Q&A will probably stop within the next couple of weeks, just because there aren't enough questions anymore. I've already answered pretty much everything there is. But we'll do it anyway. Okay. What happened to BlizzCon? Did you do it for the pet? Do it for the pet. No, I wanted the stream up so I can actually get the information. But as it turns out, the announcement and the launch and the big opening event was a total waste of time. And there you go. Explosions is not a question, by the way. I just need to make that absolutely clear. What raids are currently available in the Cataclysm beta? Well, Bastion of Twilight, Blackwing Descent, the Skywall, which is the Throne of Four Winds, and also Baradin Hold. Some encounters are only available at certain times, and indeed most of the raid testing is only available at certain times. They bring the dungeons up for a little while, and then they end up just going back from there, and they'll turn them off, and then they'll put them back on, and yeah, it's kind of weird. What else do we have? That is not a question. I first began playing WoW during TBC expansion and kept playing until about 2 or 3 months after Old WoW was released. I was wondering, from the content you've seen so far, is it worth buying Cataclysm upon release and from 0 to endgame resubbing my previous account, or simply not getting WoW back? Yeah, it is definitely worth getting Cataclysm. I think it is the best expansion they've ever put together from everything I've seen. There are a significant number of problems with it, as there are with everything, but honestly, yeah, it's great. Cataclysm's a great expansion. The raid content looks absolutely fantastic from what I've seen thus far. If you played Old War and you liked Old War, then everything I've seen from Cataclysm is its Old War level or better. So I would strongly, strongly recommend that you get it. And some people are asking, is it better than TBC? Yeah! Yes, it is better than TBC. The questing is better, the raiding is as good, and of course better, because you've got more options with it. Hey, there's heroic modes for all of it, and there's still tons of content from the very start. So, yeah, it's good. It's obviously good. It looks really great, and I would get it. I don't see any reason not to get it. On a scale of 1 to 10, how awesome is the Goblin casting animation compared to the Troll one? -8, I believe, would be the scientific explanation. Tenacious D or Aussie? That's not a Cataclysm question at all. Well, one of them's past his best, and one of them was never any good to begin with. Can you guess which? Hey TB, do you think Blizz will end up nerfing the raid content into the ground like they did in Wrath, or will they stick to their guns and keep the harder content? There is no way to know that. There is no way! Absolutely no way to know that at all. Why is there no way to know that? Because they gave indications of various things, and there is no way to see whether or not they've actually backed that up with any tangible evidence. I mean, the heroic content is... some of it's really good and some of it's not, and I'm glad that they buffed the health on all the heroic bosses. That's a start, but as we saw in the recent video of Shadowfang Keep, you've still got there 2 bosses which are an absolute joke. 2 bosses which are good, and then one which could be good if it was, tweaked a bit. I'm just not enthused by some of the bosses in there, and that goes against the whole thing of them saying we want heroics to be heroic again, because the difficulty curve seems to be all over the place. Frost Mage question. Since Frost Mage is shaping up to be a viable raiding spec in Cataclysm, do you believe that more mages will go that way, given the increased importance of survival and how powerful Ice Barrier is for that? If not, what do you think will help keep mages in Arcane or Fire specs? Personal preference? Utility? What if you don't have a guy in a 10-man that provides that 5% crit buff? Then you definitely want to have a Fire Mage in the group. What about the 3% damage buff that's provided by... what is it? Something like... Ret Pallies, I think, maybe, and also Beast Mastery Hunters. So, people are going to pick the spec that they want to do. The point is that if all 3 specs are viable, that is a good situation to be in. It's nice to have the choice. I may go Frost, because actually Frost is fairly enjoyable. It really is. It's entertaining. Right now, anyway. It didn't used to be. It's good now. Arcane's probably the most boring. I think a lot of people will actually go away from Arcane because it's got a really boring rotation in comparison to the other stuff. And also, yeah, Cauterize. I keep forgetting that one. You should see some of the tricks I can pull with Cauterize. So, I can eat a Blackout, which does 250,000 damage, and I can then use Mage Ward to survive it and survive the fight. I have no repair bills ever! It's so good! It's unbelievable. I I don't know if I think I've deleted the footage now, but I've got some neat trick footage of stuff. I might do that on the next boss we do with some instant kill thing. It's probably a good idea. The point is that when you eat the cauterized damage, it does what? I can't remember how much. Enough to kill you. But if you end up using Mage Ward, because that damage is fire damage, you actually eat a tick of it. So you'll survive. But the boss de-aggroes you and despawns, so you survive it. You don't even have to use Ice Block or anything. It's hilarious. It's a really good ability. Okay, that I've read. What's the difference between the computer specs now and in Cataclysm? I've seen no performance differences between Wrath and Kata at all. I would imagine the new water effects are going to take a little bit extra power. Obviously, there's some better texture work here and there. There's also quite a bit of optimization. So, if you can run Wrath fairly well... Hell, if you could move around in Dalaran without it being a complete and total slideshow, then you shouldn't have a problem. Even then, at least you now have options. You don't need to be in Orgrimmar. That's the great thing about it. There is no central travel hub anymore. So if Orgrimmar is lagging too much for you, then just go and hang around in Thunderbluff or Undercity. What else do we have? Curious if you are aware of any changes in Northern Silithus. No, I am not, actually. There don't appear to be any at all from what I can see. Silithus looked very, very similar when I flew over that. I imagine there are minor changes, because there's minor changes to basically everything, but... just trying to see if there is anything at all. Using the wonders of WoWWiki, folks. There don't appear to be any. WoWWiki would mention it if there were any major changes. The only difference, I suppose, is the fact that Anchorage is now a separate zone. Not that that really makes any difference anyway. But it is, so there you go. Okay, what else do we have? I'm looking forward to Cataclysm as much as the next guy, but is the build-up to it just a cover? From all the videos you posted, it seems good, admittedly, but so did Wrath. No, it didn't. No, it didn't! Nax was a terrible raid! No! Don't do with this ridiculous revisionist nonsense. Honestly, it is revisionism. Wrath was not good. Wrath questing was good. Wrath dungeons were never good. Both raid and heroic. They were never good. Wrath questing was good, unquestionably. It was a much better questing experience. The leveling experience was way, way better. However, the rest of it was not. We already knew this. We knew it going into it. And Nax 2.0 was never good. It was a bad instance from the very outset. It's just the very design philosophy that backs up Nax 2.0. That's what makes it bad. What else do we have? I'll have a look at one other email and we'll do some shout-outs in the show. Have I done the day Deathwing came and did you enjoy it? No, it sucks. Really, I'm very, very serious about this. It is actually bad, by the way. Some people said, oh, this looks like the best quest ever. It's so boring. I did it on stage at the I-40. Because I thought, hey, this will be really entertaining for people. As it turns out, it was boring as sin. Oh, wow, it's so dull. The first one hit rocks. It's a vehicle quest. You hit one button for about 5 minutes. Then you punch Deathwing in the face. The animation doesn't even finish, and then you go back to it. And then the next one is go click on clouds. You go wander around for 10 minutes looking for clouds. Click the clouds, then you get a little animation. Oh, it sucks. It sucks so bad. People love it because it's some crazy gimmick, but in terms of actual entertainment value, that quest is really dull. And people are going to realise that when they actually do it. Because they've already seen it, so thought, hey, this will be great fun to do. It's not like the Plants vs. Zombies quest. Yeah? That is actually entertaining to do the first time, but this, once you've seen the video of it, there is no point in you doing that quest, because there is no fun to be had at all. Nothing changes. There is nothing to do. Push button is all that quest is. So bad. Okay, folks. Shout-out time, ladies and gentlemen. send it in. TheMurloc@gmail.com, that is TheMurloc@gmail.com. You can also send it in over Twitter if you so desire. You can also send it in over your IRC client. IRC.quakenet.org, hash or pound cynical Brit is the one to go for. Shoutouts for the last few minutes of the show. And we'll get something to eat and go sit down and watch the Dungeons and Raids panel. Unfortunately, so far, everything I've seen in this has been completely and totally foreshadowed by the fact that it's been in the beta client for ages. Though there are some differences that I did notice here. Alderman's getting broken up into 2 wings, incidentally. Moradin's also being broken up into 2 wings instead of 3. The top part of the Sunken Temple has been taken out completely. Huh, interesting. Okay, shout-out time, folks, let's do it. Shout out to Oblivion on Dathramar. Great that we're all back for Cataclysm. No more Qua to wipe us on Putricide. Huh, interesting. Okay. Don't load up the MMO champion thing, by the way, unless you want to be terrified by really loud advertising. Holy crap. A shout out to my friends, Lavana, Nexoria, Solana, and Anaj. You guys rock, from Clankbot on Dark Moon Fair EU. Shout out to Agrimar US for staying up for more than 2 hours today. Send me a PM, please. Don't spam it in the channel. A shout out to Basiltard for being a lovely guy, smiley face. That's from David Byrne. A shout out to Rising. Love your show. Keep it up. Shout out to the Guild Rising on Vecnalash EU. You guys are awesome. That's from Ziana of Rising. Shout out to Twitter. Shout out to my friends. Oh no, we've done that. Shout out to Azelbor of Cadgar EU for being awesome from Mark. Azelbor, yes. Shout out to... So much... What is with this Azelbor stuff? Seriously. Retweets on shoutouts. Unbelievable. A shout out to Jellybean, who helped me to kill Kale fast but failed in trash. That is from Artemisus. Shout out to me for what is that? WRR and its future. That's from Kexman. A shout out to the Liquor Store Mafia on Azul, my first guild. That's from Dark Call. A shout out to Kexman for starting a new show. Wow. A new show. That's from Elite Hacksaw. And a shout out to the Fleur de Mal. Darkspore. Wow. God, that... My brain. There's nothing left of it. Darkspear EU to everyone with pogo sticks. That's from Az. And a shout out to the boys at Cyber Game Zone. That's from Hiroto. And can I get a shout out to me for finally convincing my friend to play WoW. That's from Hoopboo from Homer Rush EU. I'm done, folks. Thank you very much for listening to this episode of Blue Please. You will see videos coming up over the weekend. I don't know if there'll be any more videos tonight. Honestly, I'm going to probably spend most of the time watching these streams, so I doubt there'll be anything else. Thank you very much for listening, as always, and I will see you next time. We'll go off on some fantastic music, as per usual. I'm thinking, ladies and gents, that we might end on a little bit of Ensiferum. Sounds like a plan. I could do Tears, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do LAI LAI HEI. Nice 7-minute song. Let's not LAI HEI, LAI HO, LAI HA, LAI HA. No, it's not that, thank God. Good night.